Fire your friends, fire your family, surround yourself by the people who are going to most help you get to where you want to be next. That's the topic in Michael Valdes' new book, Fire Your Friends. He's here with me today. This episode is brought to you by Lofty, the Agentic AI operating system for real estate. Lofty's AI doesn't wait to be prompted. It works proactively on behalf of your agents to uncover new listing opportunities, engage leads, schedule meetings, and drive more transactions. Lofty turns every agent into a top producer. Visit lofty.com to see how Agentic AI can put your business growth on autopilot. Everybody in the business of home has a pitch. Almost nobody gets asked a hard question. This show fixes that. Welcome to Noise versus Signal. I'm your host, Inman CEO Tom Bohn. Each week we sit down with the top producing agents, industry CEOs, prop tech founders, and the people shaping the future of the business of home. Then we break down the week's biggest headlines and decide what's noise and what's signal. Let's get into it. I have a very special guest today. When you see something that's called Fire Your Friends, it makes you take notice, and it's something I wanted to get into. Specifically, I have a very special guest here today, Michael Valdes. You all know him through the world of LPT, but I'm here to talk about his book and all the things he's been doing and how he got to write this. It is an exciting story. It is some great takeaways from this. So please welcome me in joining Michael Valdes.
Tom, thank you for having me on the show. This is awesome, man. I really appreciate it. The last couple of days, really getting to know one another.
Yeah.
And doing this is fun.
It's good stuff. Look, I'm in the middle of writing a book right now.
All right.
So I'm a fanboy. I'm jealous because you actually got it done.
Right.
So let's start with like, how did you get to the point where you wanted to write a book? And here's the thing: this is not AI slop.
No, this is me writing this.
This wasn't AI.
No, this is me sitting down and writing this.
This was like you called it before. This is MV, not.
This AI. Is MV, not AI.
Right.
Exactly.
So,
right.
Talk to me first about the process of writing a book, what that feels like, what that looks like, and how much you had to put into this.
Look, here's the thing. I actually didn't tell anybody that I was writing it. Because it wasn't, I've got probably about 30 friends that are saying, oh, I'm writing a book right now. It's like, great. Yeah. And so I didn't want to be the 31st. I wanted to just actually do it, get it out there. And then the structure of it, I travel over 200 days a year telling our story right now, and having the ability to do things like this and being super disciplined and doing it, whether I'm on the plane or at home or in a hotel room and blocking out the time. Yeah. But what actually got me to do this was once I had the structure. So I wrote the book with an analogy of climbing Mount Kilimanjaro.
Which you did.
I did not.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No, I did not. No.
But you must.
That would have been AI. If you saw me at the top of that would have been AI. This was not.
Okay. But you must have you have some connection to it, or you.
Yeah. Listen, I thought it was. First of all, you don't ever have to climb a mountain at all to have the analogy of what this was, and that was also important. So you could actually relate to what the stories were, what we're trying to tell. Mm-hmm. And it was basically me holding up a mirror to someone else. Yeah. Right. And so why I wrote it was the idea that this is a milestone birthday for me this year. I'll turn 60. And it's like you
60?
Get, yeah,
you look
man.
Great.
Thanks,
damn.
Thanks, bro.
What magic are you?
No, I'm on the little sort of
voodoo. What voodoo are you using? Give me some of that.
I'm on the peptide sort of rabbit hole.
That's a whole separate.
That's a whole other separate.
Yeah, we'll do that one day. All right.
Exactly. All right. But it was one of those that when you hit a milestone, you start thinking about your life, right? You start thinking about who has been around you. You start thinking about appreciation of what you've accomplished and who was there. And climbing that mountain and then looking back. And then you start asking anybody, think about the people who were closest to you 10 years ago. Yeah. Are they still in your life now? Yeah. Probably about 80% of the people will say, well, not all of them. Yeah. Right?
A lot of them.
And a lot of them.
I actually went through a very similar experience. Yeah. I had to say the people who got me to a certain point turned out being caustic. And you and I talked about my son, which I connect a lot of things back to my son.
Yeah.
That's the world I live by.
Right.
And I would tell him all the time growing up, you are who you surround yourself with. That's what captured me when I started to read through this.
And you think, everyone hears that you're the 5 people that you're the culmination of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. What people say less times is that those 5 people need to change at different parts of your life.
Yeah.
And Fire Your Friends was a provocative title, but it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's what stops you. It's like, well, what does that mean? I don't, it's sort of like, it's an uncomfortable thing.
Yeah.
Everything's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Growth is uncomfortable. As you continue to grow, those people that are going to help you elevate are the ones that need to change as you get to different plateaus.
And that's, you're not being flip. You are
No,
seriously,
absolutely.
this is an investment in yourself.
100%.
Like, so you talked about, you did a keynote recently, and one of the ladies in the audience said, well, do I need to divorce my husband?
Yeah.
And so tell me about that.
So that was crazy. So I promoted the book in Canada.
Yeah.
And so it was a conference that I was speaking at, and I went through the highlights of the book and the concepts of the book itself. And then one lady raises her hand and says, so you're telling me to divorce my husband? And so I said, did I say that?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, is he here? First of all, is he here?
Yeah. Wow. All of a sudden, you're a family counselor
Right,
on top of it. Yeah.
Exactly.
There we go.
And so, so it was that she says, he's not aligned with what my vision is. And I said, first of all, you have to decide, are you climbing the right mountain?
Yeah.
And if you are those people that are on your rope teams the ones that are going to elevate you?
Yeah.
And whether that's your husband, whether that's your family member, you have to make a really, really conscious decision.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Yeah.
This ties also into what Robert Palmer was talking about yesterday, IDOS.
100%.
Talk a little bit about that.
Right.
So how does this weave through LPT and the others?
Look, you start thinking about IDOS, which is something that we've coined, which is the individual definition of success.
Yeah.
A person's individual definition of success. And so Robert talks about the idea that he had to build his own dream big enough to have everyone else's fit within that.
And not about money.
Not about money necessarily.
Yeah.
No, it's whatever drives somebody, right? Look, for me, I've been really fortunate. I was an investment banker for 10 years. This is my 24th year in real estate. I've done very well for myself. I'm not at Robert's level or tax bracket.
No one's at Robert's. Got it. Damn.
But if I didn't want to, I don't have to work anymore in my life. And so when I look at what I want to do right now, the only thing that resonates is impact.
Yeah.
Not my impact. How do I impact others? And that was the only thing that resonated. That was the impetus of the book.
What does the process look like as you take inventory of who is around you in your current life and where do you want to go? Like there's actually tools and everything.
There's tools. Every chapter focuses on a certain point of that journey. Yeah. And then there's trail questions, as I call it, and then base camp exercises on every chapter. And so we'll think about it this way. If you were to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, you just can't go to the top of the mountain because you'll die.
Yeah.
Right? You have to go into various levels. So a certain number of people will take you to base camp. And so what happens at base camp? You have to be there for a certain number of days. You have to be there for your body to acclimate.
100%.
It's a different environment, right? And it also is a different view because now you're at the base of the mountain, but you also have to remember that it's just the base.
Yeah.
But you're above where you started from, but you're still at the base of the mountain. Yeah. Now you decide, okay, I have two choices. Base camp is really wonderful. There's flags from all over the world, tents, it's colorful. People are having tea, they're hanging out.
Most people are comfortable in base camp.
And they're really, that was my whole point.
Yeah.
They're super comfortable there. Yeah. And so what are your two choices? You either hang out there because it's fun, or you decide to go and elevate. But if you decide to keep climbing, the interesting part is that those 5 people that took you to base camp cannot take you any further simply because they do not know how to take you further. They're not bad people.
Yeah.
They don't have the skill set. So you need a different set of Sherpas to take you up the mountain.
Talk about the world we live in now, which is mostly around realtors and brokers and the rest. What does base camp look like for a typical realtor today?
You know, that's such a great question. You know, look, there's a lot of noise in our industry,
100%.
right? There's a lot of noise that's getting caught up with a lot of lawsuits with our competitors, the consolidation of the private listings and the whole thing going on, and the consolidation of so many other brokerages that are coming together as early as this week.
Yeah.
And when you start looking at it, it's a lot of noise. Yeah. And somebody who is here serving as just that agent serving their consumer, when you start hearing about all of this, you're not even at base camp yet. You're just in the noise going up the mountain until you get to base camp.
Yeah.
So base camp is when you decide what you want to do. What is your IDOS? What do you want to contribute to? What's the impact you want to do? Are you doing this because you want to go and serve your family, your community? One of the worst things that happened was during COVID, where all of these real estate agents actually became millionaires, right? And so they were looking at these Bravo TV shows and thinking everyone can do it. And the problem was that some people actually did do it. But guess what? They're not in our industry anymore, because now you needed the skill set. Now you actually needed to know what you were doing. So Basecamp is just that, the basics of wanting to serve a consumer, knowing how to do so, and knowing how you are different. How do you differentiate yourself in this noise?
I think this resonates with a lot of realtors today, because I'm hearing a lot of folks as I go out there and they're thinking about, where do I go next? What do I do from here? I've built a local brand, but I've been connected to a brokerage for a long time. And they're thinking, do I transition to a new team? Do I transition to a new model? Right? So what is the process now, and who are those 5 Sherpas? Let's talk about what they.
Yeah, but I'll answer your first question first, because there's always that sense of, I feel connected to the brand I was with, right? And so as of the last couple of months, the brand you were with is most likely not the brand that you're at now. Because of consolidation and everything else. There's a lot of names that are changing.
And does brand matter? Does brokerage brand matter?
See, that's such a great point, because I think some agents do think that, right? Some agents think, I'm going to align myself with this name in this industry because I need that name on my sign. And you don't. You need to know that you, Tom, are the person that's going to connect with that consumer. That's who you are. You're the brand. The moment that the agent realizes that, then that's where we actually get to a special place, right? And so, yes, I do talk about the 5 Sherpas, and I try to consolidate this and try to do it in a way that it's 5 of your circle, or your rope team, as I say, and the people that are actually going to elevate you up. And so one of them is your skills Sherpa, right? And so it's like, you want somebody who has done the climb before you. And there is actually intervals of space and time.
So a mentor.
Well, yes, but more than a mentor. You just don't want someone that's going to say, come on, I'll show you the way, right? Because not everyone has those skills either. So I actually really purposefully break them up into the skill set of what you're needing. And you may not need all 5 at once. You might have some of them filled already. So the skills person is the one who's climbed that mountain before, and you are actually going to see who's the person who's been there. That's just a few steps ahead of me. So maybe like the 0 to 6, you can see somebody that if you wanted to sell, 5 homes a year and you're on your second one, that person is great, because now you can sort of like say, okay, what's 3 more, right? It's 2.5x what you've done, but it's only 3 more when you start thinking about it. Now you start going into, what would it feel like to sell 50 homes? That's a little more uncomfortable, but who do I need to find for that? And then what is it if I want to sell 100 plus homes a year? Well, that's not even in my mindset right now. So there's tiered versions of what that skills Sherpa should be, right? And then we go into strategy. The strategy Sherpa is an interesting one, because it's the blueprint. You know what always fascinates me is how few agents have a business plan.
I think that's true for a lot of businesses in general.
Well, that's very true too.
Take it out of real estate, right? It's like, I think you can go across a number of, I am always amazed when I go into businesses, particularly for a turnaround situation. Where it's like, what's your North Star? What are you trying to accomplish? And no one knows, because they're working in the business, not on the business.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And as an agent, whether you're a solo agent that is just working on your own business, a team leader, an independent, or part of a larger brokerage, the idea that they don't know where they're going, how do you know when you arrive?
Absolutely.
Right? And so the idea of a strategy is so important. And then you have a strategy Sherpa that will actually, they've done it before. They will say to you, hey, have you thought about it in this way? Because it's a little bit different than what you're looking at.
So they press you.
They press you. Of course they press you.
So that should be a person who takes you out of your comfort zone.
Yes. But some of these blend together, right? Because then you have your truth Sherpa.
Okay.
And your truth Sherpa.
So we have skills Sherpa, vision Sherpa.
Well, we haven't entered vision yet.
Okay. Strategy Sherpa.
Strategy.
Okay.
Strategy, skill, truth Sherpa is someone who's not going to let you get away with your shit. Right?
Okay.
Someone who's going to be not going to ramp on you either, but it's like, Tom, that's not really where this is landing, right? It's like, look, I love you, brother, and this is the way that it's come across. And it's sort of like, look, maybe you could think of it in a different delivery and a way like that. That's somebody who cares about your climb.
Yeah.
That's somebody who cares about your climb and cares about you enough to actually sort of say, hey, that's not who you are. I know your soul. I know your heart. That's not who you are.
Right.
Right. And so, because sometimes we just get caught up. Sometimes it's like, look, I got to get aggressive to get up that mountain. And I need to sort of do whatever I need to do. And sometimes your persona is not your truth.
Absolutely.
Right.
And not everyone could be the same thing. Not everyone could be Ryan Serhant.
Right.
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 He is an interesting individual type of person,
100%.
right? Who does that really well.
That's
but then people will look at that and go, I'm going to be Ryan Serhant.
That's right. Yes.
You know how hard that is? Right? It's you don't just, hey, I have a TV show.
And look, you brought up Ryan. This is really interesting. I've known Ryan a while. Ryan did a podcast that I was doing years ago. And it was really interesting because he said to me, Michael, when I shoot an episode of $1 Million Agent, whatever I shoot today will not air for another 10 months. And so it has to go through edit, post-edit, everything else. So whomever I'm on camera today needs to be the future Ryan from 10 months from now, because that's who you're going to see on screen.
Right.
And I was like, what a wonderful visual of doing that.
That actually gets right to what that Sherpa, that
That's
truth
right.
Sherpa should be saying.
That's
to
exactly
you.
it.
What does this look like you
In the future.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's so incredible. And that's the truth Sherpa. The vision Sherpa is the one who actually has that plan in place.
Yeah.
The one who actually can think about what the future will look like and how you can actually create that for yourself.
Yeah. And they don't necessarily have to be from the real estate industry, do they?
Of course not. This is not a real estate book.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a book about life.
But for the realtor who's out there listening to this now, and they're thinking, oh my God, how am I need to find these people, right? They don't necessarily have to look within their brokerage or another brokerage.
Look, it doesn't even have to be somebody you know, right? You start thinking about this, like I had this conversation with somebody at the event yesterday, and they were saying, hey, but I followed Tony Robbins a lot, but I don't know Tony Robbins. And I said, you don't need to.
Yeah.
The fact that he's influencing you already, he's one of your Sherpas.
Yeah.
And so you don't need to know the person. The person doesn't have to be physically in front of you. They just have to influence you enough where you actually see them filling that role for you.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. I love all those three, or those four.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the fifth one, because I think it's the most compelling.
It is compelling, and that's the spirit Sherpa. It's, you always sort of say that mind, body, and soul, where you actually want to have that perfect triangle. By the way, there's no perfect triangles, but that spirit Sherpa that makes sure that you don't burn out. Make sure the why of why you were doing this. Was it for your children? Was it for the legacy you want to leave behind? Was it to impact hundreds of thousands of people? Yeah. How big is that spirit Sherpa? And are you actually creating and continuing the climb with that core in mind?
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. And now, that really gets, again, back to IDOS.
That's right.
Because it's so individual.
That's right.
Right? Because it is okay, I think, to only want to do 10 sales a year.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Right? As long as all
There's
the
nothing
other
wrong with it.
applies.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Look, we talk about, I talk about it in the book also. You and I can go and see a movie right now, right? And we're going to sit in a theater with 200 other people. We're going to see a movie for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And we're going to walk out of that, and 200 people will have different opinions of what we just saw.
Absolutely.
And you start thinking to yourself, how is that even possible? We just saw the same 120 minutes of celluloid that was edited together by an editor in a dark room somewhere, and we've all seen the same images.
Yeah.
And we come up with different
Walked away
lenses.
with a wildly different
That's
version
right.
of that. 100%.
Because we all see life through our own lens.
Absolutely. So now, what about, I think one of the places this really resonates most is toxicity.
Yes.
And I see with a lot of people in general, they have people who are naysayers in their life, but they don't want to cut that cord, right? Talk to me a little bit about that. Like that
Listen,
was
that's really, really important. When you start thinking about who you have around you, and sometimes we feel guilty. Like I say, fire your friends. What if your friend is your mother? right? It's like, how do you fire my mother?
Yeah.
And so it's the idea
Can I fire my mother? Oh, and she'll watch this.
I know.
Believe me.
She better watch it. She better watch this.
You bastard.
No, it's the idea that it's the conceptual part of it. Just back to the lens. Your mother saying, Tom, what are you thinking? You can't do that. That's too risky.
Yeah.
That's her protecting you.
100%.
It's out of love, right? But you're the one that you will not scale unless you do this.
Yeah.
And if you actually go and try not to do this to appease her, you're not helping yourself.
But isn't failure part of it?
Failure is a great lesson.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great lesson.
Yeah.
Failure is a great lesson. Failure is not bad.
No, failure is good.
Failure is good.
Learn.
Go ask Thomas Edison.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
He failed 10,000 times and we got a light bulb.
Lincoln.
Yeah.
How many times did he lose?
Exactly.
Wild levels of depression.
100%.
Yeah.
Right?
So even as I think about like my son and his trajectory in life, and for a long time it was I can't do it. I want to do it, but I can't because my buddies won't think it's cool.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
How much of that type of thing do you hear? Particularly with a realtor, your social media, you become very vulnerable.
That's right.
You have to put yourself out there, and there are people out there going, look at them. They'll
probably saying in the comments right now.
Oh, 100%. That's good. As long as they're commenting, I don't give a shit. Right? As long as just comment, right?
That's right.
But I think you have to really be comfortable understanding where it is you want to be, and to surround yourself with the people who will get that, even if that's wrong.
That was chapter 2.
Yeah.
Is picking the right mountain.
Yeah.
Right. So think about it. And there are friends of mine that have been climbing the wrong mountain for years. Why? Because their parents were physicians. They were supposed to be a physician. Mm-hmm. And guess what? They did. But they hate it.
They hate it.
They hate it.
Well, I see a number of attorneys who are like that. It's
the attorneys.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
And your whole life is planned for you.
Yeah.
And you're just going through it. And so it's a really bad discovery if you just stop and figure out, I'm on the wrong mountain. Mm. And then you have to do some really, really bad math.
Yeah.
Because it's like, think about the average lifespan for someone in the US is probably 80, right? So whatever age you are now, while you're actually having this discussion, subtract that, figure out the delta. If that's 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, whatever it is, do you want to spend that amount of time on the wrong mountain?
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to recruiting in real estate is critical.
Yes, it is.
And there's a lot of young agents out there who are struggling and wondering, did I make the right decision?
That's right.
What do you say to them, and how does this book apply?
So you actually, some people probably shouldn't be in the industry, to be quite honest. Right? So not everyone should be in this industry.
Yeah.
Trust me. And this industry is brutal enough that it will self-select.
Great point.
And so this is where people say, I just can't make it. And a lot of people did fall out, right? But what remained? The people that did remain, A, you have less competition. B, you have a less amount, you've quieted the noise. You have a greater opportunity and lens to make your message clearer and be known. So if it's your mountain, you have to sort of stick to it, find your Sherpas, and climb.
Love that. Then we're going to jump into signal or noise. I'm going to throw out a couple of things you're going to say, whether it's signal, it has meaning, or it's noise.
All right, great. Rapid fire?
Yep, rapid fire.
Thank you.
Love this. And there's so many takeaways here. I can't wait to see team leaders pick this up and to actually start to use these tutorials, these worksheets.
A lot of the team leaders have actually taken this and created their sales meetings around it, which is extraordinary. Yeah, I love that too.
All right. The most important part of this podcast is called signal. We do signal or noise. I'm going to throw out a topic. You're going to tell me whether it's signal or noise.
Let's do it.
And I have to ask this one because, again, it just landed again today.
Yes.
Another thing came up again. Comp is coming after Zillow. And signal or noise. Is that whole thing?
Ton of noise.
Ton of noise. Has zero meaning.
Now, look, it doesn't have zero meaning, but it doesn't affect the average realtor doing their business.
Yeah.
It just doesn't affect them.
Absolutely.
Right? So, noise.
Consolidation of MLSs from almost 500 now to maybe a handful. Signal or noise?
Look, somewhere in the middle. I think I'm going to lean more towards noise, but it's somewhere in the middle because, sure, the agents need to be aware of it, but again, it doesn't affect them on a day-to-day. They'll just go and list it at another MLS.
Most agents don't care.
They don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about that local relationship.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Signal or noise?
Okay.
Here we go. Interest rates.
Of course, it's a signal.
Signal.
Yeah. Of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It
Of course,
is
it is.
the biggest,
Look, and you also
the
have
biggest lever.
It's. I would say so. Sure.
Yeah.
It's to say, I think there's a lot of money on the sidelines. You have a new Fed chair, which is still all figuring out where his machinations are and his maneuvers. So no, it's a signal.
A signal or noise, the rise of non-traditional brokerages versus the legacy ones. Is that a trend that has sustainability and legs, or is that noise?
That is a big signal.
Big signal.
That's a big signal. Look, it's very selfishly, we're the fastest growing real estate company in history. I left my former employer that I helped build to the largest independent to come here, because this is the vision that I see as to serving agents at the highest level around the world.
What is the last message you want to convey to all those realtors out there who are hustling and grinding and are waiting for interest rates to change and macroeconomics to change? What is the words of wisdom?
The message is to understand what your value is, understand why you came here, understand that if you serve others at the highest level, you're always going to win.
Love that. Michael Valdes, Fire Your Friends. Pick it up, read it. You can get this where? We'll have information
everywhere
below, but Amazon,
yes,
Yep.
super easy.
Yep.
Yes.
You carry around a satchel, right? 100 at any time. They'll sign it, whatever they want.
That's it. I think we're going to have some at Inman, so that'll be fun.
Well, actually, you'll be doing it, signing it.
Yes, I will.
Michael Valdes,
thank you, sir. I appreciate you, Tom.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Noise versus Signal. Follow us on Instagram at Inman News for more conversations and industry insights. And be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. I'll see you next time.